Hey, it's Pastor Dan from Dexter Gospel Church with another Proverbs Practical. Today we get the reason for the instruction that we saw in the last verse. We're in Proverbs 24, verse 18. Proverbs 24:18 says, "Lest the Lord see it, and it displease him, and he turn away his wrath from him." Well, this only makes sense if you put it in light of the previous verse. And in the previous verse, we got an instruction that runs against our natural inclinations. Solomon advised us not to rejoice at the stumbling or the fall of our enemies. Well, we know that we're supposed to love our enemies, but now he gives us another reason why we shouldn't rejoice at the problems of people who give us problems. Rather than guilt-tripping us about love and saying you should love those enemies better, Solomon points out instead that God is watching us just as much as he is watching them. And so when he brings judgment or justice upon one of our enemies, and we rejoice about it and we cheer about it and we're happy that this bad thing happened to someone, well, God's watching us too. What they have done might have displeased him. But us, crowing over their downfall, rejoicing and being glad when someone made in the image of God is brought to disaster or destruction, well, that displeases God too. And so, since we make their fate something we are emotionally invested in, taking what God sees as justice and making it about us and how we feel about it, rather than about Him or about His standards of right and wrong, God may turn away from the wrath that He had against that enemy. They may linger to trouble us further because we trouble God when we rejoice at their problems. This, I think, is because the judgment that God brings is not about us. When people do what's wrong to us, it's not just that they hurt us, it's that they have violated God's laws, and that's why God judges, not because of how we feel, but because of what He has judged and determined and said. When we instead make that judgment about us, when we take personal pleasure in God's judgment and justice, we take what is meant to be absolute and impartial and make it personal and emotional. We take what is meant to be about God and His character, and we make it about us and our feelings. And so we rob from God a bit of His glory and His role as the judge when we rejoice at the downfall of our enemies. Justice and judgment actually ends up being limited by our very rejoicing at it when it's the downfall of our enemies. For God does not want it to be our downfall as well. So leave vengeance and eternal justice in God's hands. When we see someone, even someone who has hurt us, even someone who is our enemy, fall, we ought to sorrow on their behalf, not rejoice. Justice may have needed to be done, and God will judge. But we, the recipients of mercy and grace and pardon, should hope for that for all around us, even our enemies. Let's not get in the way of justice by making it emotionally about us, rather than the absolute nature of God and His laws and right and wrong. I hope this video is a help to you. If it is, hit the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel for more insight from Scripture. Until next time, hope you stay well and put God first in your thinking.